The evacuation alarms screamed through Training Facility Omega-7 as Command General Zillax watched humanity's newest recruit ignore the retreat order and walk toward the Void Stalker's containment breach. The creature that had rendered 47 civilizations extinct was loose in Corridor 9, and Cadet Emma Johnson was reloading a standard-issue kinetic rifle while humming something that sounded disturbingly cheerful. "Cadet Johnson, you will evacuate immediately!" Zillax's voice cracked across the comm system, his secondary vocal cords producing harmonics of genuine panic. "That is a direct order." Emma paused, tilting her head as she checked her ammunition count. "Yeah, I heard you the first 3 times, sir. Quick question, though. Why is everyone running away from it? Isn't this a military academy?" Zillax felt his respiratory systems seize. Behind him, the command staff of the most prestigious military academy in the Galactic Coalition stared at their monitors in various states of horror. The Void Stalker's biometric signature pulsed on every screen, a creature that had ended entire stellar civilizations, that had forced the Council to quarantine 12 star systems, that had made seasoned warriors across 300 species wake screaming from nightmares. And this human wanted to know why people were running. "The Void Stalker is classified as an Omega-class extinction threat," Tactical Officer Kaldra said, her mandibles clicking rapidly in distress. "It is biologically immortal, regenerates from molecular destruction, and possesses adaptive shielding that has defeated every weapon system ever deployed against it. In the last 6,000 years, it has been responsible for 47 dead civilizations." "Yeah, I read the brief," Emma interrupted, shouldering her rifle with practiced ease. "But has anyone actually tried to kill one recently? Maybe it's not as bad as the legends say." The command center fell silent except for the wailing alarm and the distant sounds of panicked evacuation. 3,000 personnel were flooding toward the emergency shuttles. The Academy's most decorated combat instructors, warriors who had survived campaigns across the spiral arm, had been the first to run. "Cadet Johnson," Zillax said, forcing his voice into something resembling calm authority. "In the time we've been talking, that creature has killed 8 security personnel. It tore through a reinforced blast door designed to withstand orbital bombardment. It is currently dissolving our antimatter containment team with acidic secretions. This is not bravado you're displaying. This is suicide." Emma frowned, studying the tactical display. According to YouTube analytics, 99.6% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, you'll help support the channel and never miss fresh content. "Okay, but it's just like a really big animal, right? It bleeds, has organs, eats food." "Its cellular structure exists partially outside standard dimensional space," Kaldra said frantically. "Its biology violates known thermodynamics. Cadet, please, you don't understand what you're dealing with." "So that's a yes on the organs." Emma checked her rifle's chamber. "Cool. Which way to Corridor 9? Zillax made a decision he knew would haunt him. "Computer, seal all bulkheads between Command and Corridor 9. Authorization, Zillax Prime 7. Lock them down." "Hey!" Emma's voice came through clearly despite the barrier now separating them. "That's not cool, sir. I need to get to—" The communication cut off as the Void Stalker's electromagnetic pulse scrambled their systems. On the main view screen, emergency cameras showed the creature in all its nightmare glory. 12 meters of chitinous horror, limbs that bent in directions evolution had never intended, a mouth that seemed to contain entire ecosystems of teeth, and eyes that gleamed with something approximating malevolent intelligence. It had just detected Emma. "Get her out of there!" someone screamed. "The bulkheads won't open!" "She's going to die." Zillax felt his career ending in real time. A human cadet, Earth had only joined the Coalition 3 years ago, was about to be killed by the galaxy's most feared predator because he'd trapped her in a corridor with it. High Command would have his mandibles for this. The humans would declare war. The entire diplomatic framework would collapse. The Void Stalker charged. Emma raised her rifle and fired. The sound was wrong. Every weapon in the Coalition arsenal produced clean energy signatures. The hum of plasma, the shriek of particle beams, the reality-tearing thunderclap of quantum disruptors. What came from Emma's rifle was mechanical, a sharp crack, primitive and brutal, the sound of chemical propellant driving metal through air. The Void Stalker flinched. Impossible. The creature had walked through star core temperatures without slowing. It had shrugged off gravitational weapons that collapsed space-time itself. It had regenerated from atomic disintegration, and it flinched from a kinetic round. Emma fired again. Another crack, another flinch. "What is she doing?" someone whispered. "Her weapon, it's not registering on any of our sensors." "That's because it's ballistic," Kaldra breathed, her voice filled with something between awe and horror. "She's using bullets." The Void Stalker's adaptive shielding flickered, visible for a microsecond as it tried to compensate for the attack. The shield that had absorbed megaton yield explosions, that had dispersed directed energy weapons across dimensional barriers, that had evolved over millions of years to counter every conceivable threat. It didn't know what to do with a chunk of lead moving at supersonic velocity. Emma's third shot punched through the creature's shoulder. Ichor sprayed, actual physical blood, not the energy-based pseudomatter that most scans had suggested. The Void Stalker shrieked, a sound that made everyone in the command center wish for deafness. "She's hurting it," Zilak said stupidly. "Impossible!" Kaldra was already at her station, sensors focused, on the engagement. "The kinetic energy shouldn't— Wait! Her mandibles spread wide. Its shielding evolved to disperse and redirect energy attacks. It's been fighting civilizations with plasma weapons, fusion beams, exotic particle systems for 10 million years. It's never encountered bullets, Zilax finished. It's never encountered bullets. On screen, Emma had taken cover behind a support column, calmly ejecting her spent magazine and loading a fresh one. The Void Stalker circled, ichor dripping from its wound, its movements cautious now, wary. "Why didn't we think of this?" someone asked. "Because we abandoned kinetic weapons 4,000 years ago," another officer replied. "Why use bullets when you can use plasma?" "Efficiency," Emma's voice crackled over the restored calm. "Also, bullets don't need a power supply. They work in any environment, and they're cheap as hell. You guys really gave up on guns?" "That's wild." The Void Stalker charged again, faster this time, learning. Emma stepped out from cover and fired in a smooth, controlled burst. 1, 2, 3 shots. The first hit center mass, the second caught a limb joint. The third, impossibly, struck one of those malevolent eyes. The creature went down. Not dead, Zilax could see it still moving, but down, wounded, vulnerable. The thing that had ended 47 civilizations was bleeding on the floor of a training facility because a human with a rifle had shot it 6 times. "Get a containment team in there," Zilax ordered. "Full hazard protocols. And somebody open those bulkheads before Cadet Johnson decides to finish it off herself." "Sir," Kaldra said quietly, "I'm reading 14 more Void Stalker signatures in the containment wing. If they breach, then we issue Cadet Johnson more ammunition." Emma walked into the command center 20 minutes later, her rifle slung over her shoulder, her uniform splattered with alien ichor that was probably carcinogenic to 70% of known species. She looked annoyed. "So," she said without preamble, "that thing had a nest. 3 eggs. I'm guessing you didn't know about those." The command staff stared at her. "I neutralized them," Emma continued. "Standard protocol for dangerous wildlife. Kill the adults, secure the eggs for study or destruction. Assuming you guys have xenobiologists who can handle it, because that stuff is caustic. Ate right through my gloves." She held up hands covered in chemical burns. "Medic!" Zilax roared. "I'm fine, it's just— Medic!" As the medical team rushed Emma away, she protested the entire time. Kaldra pulled up her full analysis. The command staff gathered around her station, reading in silence. "The Void Stalker's adaptive shielding is a marvel of evolutionary biology," Kaldra said, her voice clinical now, academic. It's been refining its defenses for over 10 million years, constantly adapting to new threats. Every civilization that encountered it used progressively more advanced energy weapons, teaching the creature how to defend against higher and higher energy states. But nobody used bullets, Zilak said. Nobody had bullets. Every species in the coalition passed through their kinetic weapons phase early in their development. By the time any of us reached spacefaring capability, we'd moved on to directed energy systems. More efficient, more powerful, more elegant. Humans are still using them. Humans use everything. Kaeldra pulled up Earth's military database, which the Coalition had been studying with anthropological fascination since first contact. Knives alongside laser guidance systems, explosives next to quantum computers. They maintain entire arsenals of what we'd consider primitive technology, not because they can't build better, but because sometimes the simple solution is the right one, Emma said, returning with her hands bandaged. The medic followed her, looking exasperated. Bullets work. They work in vacuum, in atmosphere, in electromagnetic fields, in gravitational anomalies. They're reliable. You point, you shoot. The thing you pointed at gets a hole in it. No exotic physics required. Your weapon, Zilax gestured at the rifle. How much does it cost? This one? Maybe 800 credits in your currency? I could build one for cheaper with basic machine tools. The standard plasma rifle issued to Coalition soldiers cost 80,000 credits. And the ammunition? Like a credit per round? Less if you manufacture in bulk. Coalition plasma cartridges ran 200 credits each. Zilax sat down heavily. Around him, the command staff was having similar realizations. The Galactic Coalition, spanning 300 species, thousands of worlds, representing the pinnacle of technological achievement, had been outsmarted by a primate with a pipe that threw metal very fast. How many rounds did you fire? Kaeldra asked. 13, 6 at the adult, 3 each at the eggs, 1 test shot to check the weapon after the blood spray. You killed an Omega-class extinction threat and its offspring with 13 bullets. I mean, technically only 6 were for the big one. The eggs weren't really fighting back. Emma paused. Is this the part where I get in trouble for discharging a weapon in a training facility? Because I swear that thing was already loose when I... Cadet Johnson, Zilax interrupted. How would you like to help us review our defensive protocols? Like, all of them? All of them. The emergency session of the Coalition Military Council convened 4 hours later, conducted via quantum link across the sector. Admirals, generals, and defensive coordinators from 200 species materialized as holograms around the command center's main chamber. Zilax had never seen so much brass in one place, even virtually. Explain, demanded Fleet Admiral Vex Thule, his multiple eyes fixing on Zilax with predatory focus. How a first-year cadet accomplished what 47 civilizations could not. Zilax played the footage 13 times. Once for the initial engagement, 12 more, because various admirals kept demanding replays, unable to believe what they were seeing. The human used a kinetic weapon, Kaeldra explained, her xenobiology credentials giving her authority even among the high command. The Void Stalker's defensive evolution had no framework for processing such an attack. Its shielding, adapted to disperse and redirect energy across dimensional barriers, couldn't compensate for simple mass and velocity. But kinetic weapons are primitive, someone objected. Primitive, Emma said, she'd been ordered to attend, still wearing her ichor-stained uniform, doesn't mean ineffective. You guys developed fusion reactors, which is awesome, but you also abandoned chemical combustion entirely. Sometimes you just need something to catch fire, you know? We kept matches. The human raises a valid point, Admiral Dirac said slowly. Our technological advancement may have created strategic blind spots. We assumed newer weapons were universally superior. They're superior in many contexts, Emma agreed, but they're not always the right tool. If I need to kill something quietly, from long range, with no electronic signature, bullets. If I need to clear a building without destroying it, bullets. If I need a weapon that works regardless of magnetic fields, radiation, or exotic physics, she mimed shooting. Bullets. How many other threats, Vex Thule asked quietly, might be vulnerable to similar overlooked solutions? Kaldra pulled up a list. I've identified 23 classified threats currently designated as indestructible or impossible to neutralize. 14 of them evolved or developed in environments with high ambient energy conditions. If their defensive adaptations follow similar patterns to the Void Stalker, they might be vulnerable to kinetic weapons, Zilax finished. The chamber erupted into debate. Some argued for immediate testing. Others cautioned against assuming one success meant universal application. A third faction began discussing the implications for ship design. If armor had been optimized against energy weapons, were their fleets vulnerable to ballistic attacks? Emma raised her hand. The galaxy's military leadership fell silent, turning to the human cadet with expressions ranging from curiosity to disbelief. Can I make a suggestion? Emma asked. Proceed, Cadet, Vex Thule said. Stop thinking about human weapons as primitive. That's your problem. You see bullets and think obsolete technology instead of different capability set. Yeah, your plasma rifles are cool, amazing engineering, but plasma behaves differently than bullets. It has different advantages and disadvantages. You don't replace one tool with another. You use the right tool for the job. What are you proposing? Cross-train. Add kinetic weapons to your arsenal, not as a replacement, as an addition. Give your soldiers both options. Hell, I can write up a basic training manual in like a week. Ballistic weapons for energy weapons specialists. Cover the fundamentals, the tactical applications, the maintenance requirements. You would do this? Zilax asked. Emma shrugged. Sure. I mean, I'm supposed to be learning from you guys, right? Least I can do is share what we know. Besides, she grinned, watching you all discover bullets is probably the most entertaining thing that'll happen to me all year. My friends back home are going to die when I tell them the Galactic military forgot guns existed. We didn't forget, someone muttered. We evolved past them. Semantics, Emma said cheerfully. The next week transformed Facility Omega-7 into organized chaos. Emma's basic training manual turned into a comprehensive 300-page document covering everything from bullet physics to tactical applications across various environmental conditions. The Coalition's top engineers studied her rifle like it was ancient alien technology, marveling at its mechanical simplicity. No power requirements, one engineer breathed, examining the firing mechanism. No electromagnetic signature, no thermal bloom, no quantum uncertainty in the trajectory. Just point and shoot, Emma agreed, demonstrating field stripping the weapon for the 15th time that day. You guys really overcomplicated weapons design. The real test came when they deployed kinetic weapons against the 14 other Void Stalkers in containment. Emma supervised, coaching Coalition soldiers through proper firing stances and breathing techniques, basics these warriors had never needed to learn. 9 of the 14 Void Stalkers died to conventional small arms fire. 3 required heavier caliber weapons. Emma called in specifications for something she termed a 50 caliber anti-material rifle, which the fabrication teams built in 6 hours. 2 proved genuinely resistant to kinetic weapons. Okay, those you can use your fancy energy guns on, Emma allowed. See? Right tool for the job. The implications rippled outward. If Void Stalkers were vulnerable to overlooked technology, what else had the Coalition missed? Research teams began examining other invincible threats through new lenses. The crystalline entities of Sector 9, vulnerable to sonic weapons, frequencies that humans still used for everything from cleaning to crowd control. The phase predators of the Ghost Nebula, susceptible to chemical agents, simple poison, which most species had abandoned in favor of more humane, energy-based neutralization. Earth's seemingly backward insistence on maintaining primitive technology suddenly looked like wisdom. We became specialists, Kaldra said one evening, finding Emma in the firing range, teaching a mixed class of alien recruits the fundamentals of marksmanship. We optimized for specific approaches and forgot that diversity of capability matters. Happens to everyone, Emma said, correcting a student's grip. You get good at one thing, you start thinking that thing is the answer to everything. Humans did it too, couple centuries back, got so focused on nuclear weapons we almost forgot conventional warfare. Then some conflicts came up where nukes weren't an option, and we remembered pretty quick why you keep multiple tools in the toolbox. Your species maintains significant technological diversity. Yeah, we're kind of hoarders like that. We invent new stuff, but we also keep the old stuff, just in case. My great-grandfather's bayonet works just as well today as it did 100 years ago. Maybe better, since nobody expects someone to use a knife in modern combat. She grinned, which is exactly why you should expect it. Kaldra clicked her mandibles, a gesture Emma had learned meant amusement. The galaxy underestimated humans. The galaxy underestimated bullets, Emma corrected. We're just the ones who remembered to bring them. 2 months later, Emma stood in the Academy's ceremonial hall, receiving commendations from 3 different Admiralty boards. The primitive warfare specialist position had been created specifically for her, a title she found hilarious and had already started putting on T-shirts. Cadet Emma Johnson, Fleet Admiral Vexthul intoned formally, in recognition of your exceptional service to the Galactic Coalition, your innovative tactical thinking, and your role in neutralizing an extinction-level threat, we hereby award you the Star of Valor, the Strategic Innovation Medal, and early promotion to Lieutenant. Emma accepted the medals, trying to look appropriately solemn. It was difficult when she knew her squad mates were in the audience, absolutely losing their minds. Additionally, Vexthul continued, Earth's military liaison has requested your temporary reassignment to head the new Cross-Technology Combat Initiative, a joint program designed to integrate human weapons systems into coalition defensive doctrine. I'm going to teach the entire galaxy how to shoot guns, Emma said, forgetting ceremony. In essence, yes. She laughed. She couldn't help it. The absurdity was too perfect. 3 years ago, Earth had been alone in the cosmos. Now she was here explaining to species that had mastered faster-than-light travel why a good rifle mattered. I accept, sir, though I'm going to need a bigger firing range. The ceremony ended. The admirals disconnected. Emma's squad mobbed her immediately, cheering and roughhousing despite the formal setting. Zilax watched from the command deck, Kaldra beside him. She changed everything, the xenobiologist said. She remembered what we forgot, Zilax corrected. That advancement doesn't mean abandonment, that sometimes the answer isn't more sophisticated, it's more appropriate. On the main floor, Emma had apparently given up on dignity entirely and was demonstrating something she called a finger gun to her fascinated alien classmates, complete with sound effects. The coalition will be arguing about this for decades, Kaldra observed. Let them argue. We're alive to do it. Zilax pulled up his personal logs, beginning the report he'd been drafting. Recommended immediate reforms. Reinstitution of kinetic weapons training across all branches, review of abandoned technologies for tactical relevance, establishment of permanent human advisory positions in all major military divisions. You're recommending we learn from them. I'm recommending we learn from each other. That's what this coalition is supposed to be about. He watched Emma corral her squad toward the cafeteria, probably planning to celebrate with what humans called pizza, another simple food that had somehow become the Academy's most popular meal option. Humans kept their simple solutions. We'll teach them our advanced ones. Together, we might actually figure out this whole galactic security thing. Kaldra clicked agreement. The Council won't like it. The Council likes being alive. Emma Johnson ensured they still are. Zilax closed his report. Besides, I read her preliminary findings on the phase predators. She thinks bug spray might work. Bug spray. Aerosol insecticide. Apparently it's toxic to a broad range of carbon-based life forms if you use enough of it. The humans used to use it to kill insects in their homes. Kaldra paused. That's actually brilliant. The phase predator's exotic matter composition wouldn't have defenses against simple chemical toxins. Right tool for the job, Zilax said, echoing Emma's constant refrain. From the cafeteria came the sound of human laughter mixing with alien clicking, chirping, and harmonic vocalizations. A new era was beginning, one where the galaxy's most advanced civilizations learned from humanity's stubborn refusal to completely leave the past behind. And somewhere in the containment wing, heavily armed security teams stood guard with newly issued rifles, just in case. The weapons were simple, elegant, and brutally effective. They were pointed in the right direction, ready to shoot,